at the end in the autumn of 2025, and we're trying out a new format. So we took a long break over the summer because we'd been recording for a couple of years straight, actually, with no real breaks at all. Um, and I think we all had a little bit of a thought about how we could do it better and maybe make it a little bit more interesting and change things up. So we will we're going to move to a new format where we have co-hosts. We're all going to host together on most of the episodes, and if somebody can't be here one week or another week or whatever, then we'll either maybe get a guest in to take their spot, or we'll just host it ourselves, or we'll just get on with it and the show can just keep rolling. So over the next X number of weeks, whatever that works out to be, you'll have all of us, or two of us, or one of us, or I don't know, somebody. Maybe we'll just get somebody in if we can't all do it at the same time. So, welcome everybody, Joe Chilton and Lena Robinson.
Hi everyone.
Hello, welcome.
Hello. This is also the first time we've actually done a live broadcast. So, if it's terrible, tough. we
You don't have to watch
It's
it
gonna
again.
be fine.
we have no idea how this is going to pan out. And we just thought, well, let's just do it. No time better than the present. So, thank you, Lena, for trying to apply a little bit of organization to proceedings here. So,
That's all right.
I think we've had a traditional show so far, which has been a traditional kind of interview podcast where, 95% of the episodes have been us just sitting around and having an interview and chatting with somebody that we thought would be interesting to just talk about different themes. We've had the theme around creatives with AI and women and education and marketing and the law and all the different stuff. And I just got the feeling that we kind of split everything up too much. And really, we just needed to have one show. We can have different themes. And it just made sense to me to kind of pull it all back together.
I mean, we needed to try, didn't we? We needed to
Yeah.
experiment to see what
Yeah,
worked and what
100%.
didn't.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the other thing is a lot of the podcasts that I listen to regularly and another podcast that I co-host on all have three hosts, and it seems to work really well because then we all have different perspectives on stuff.
Mm.
We all three of us have different perspectives on AI for sure. And so I think it might be more interesting and just a more well-rounded conversation for people listening if we talk about it and then kind of bring stuff to the table.
Yeah, agree.
The other thing that we talked about as well was being trying to be more topical with stuff that's actually happening in the real world right now. And so moving forward, what we want to do is kind of bring a story or some sort of a topic with us. If we've got an actual article that we saw online or some post on LinkedIn or some, crazy social media post or something that we want to mention, we'll bring that and we'll each bring something to the table, and we can all talk about it and see how we feel, and then we might also have a general topic that we want to talk about, that show as well. And so today, Lena has proposed a topic for us to discuss. I think that was everything, Lena, on the list, wasn't
I
it? That we
think it
wanted
was.
to
Yep.
the
Yep.
housekeeping bits at the beginning, just to kind of let everybody know what's going on.
Yeah. Set out the new structure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to talk about latest news, and I think before we get too far into it, um, Joe, do you want to start with the latest news? What's your topic? Your big, like, what's happened over the summer or that's really caught your attention lately that's happening in AI?
Oh, hang on. I thought we were just doing something that happened this week. This
That's
is
fine.
how
You could do this week. You could do
I
this week.
feel. I put my hand up. I feel like I've not done my homework. So I just there was
Awesome.
well.
Me too. So we're just fine.
Well, I have, so we're all good.
Yeah, Lena's done her homework.
Well, and I like that we only decided to check this morning were we going to share the news article with each other that we were going to talk about.
Yeah.
Because
And also that we were going live today.
well, yeah.
Yeah. I don't have a
You were
topic.
watching.
Well, I have a general topic. I don't have an article, so I
Well,
can talk about anything. So
Well, exactly. Well, I had one that that someone had mentioned to me today about AI being used to help people book holidays. But the other thing that I wondered whether one of you two would bring was the one which I don't really have all the facts was about Google turning off 100 search options
Yeah.
and it's only showing 10. And
Yep.
that, I think, to me is a bigger discussion point, because that's really about how AI is controlling what it is that you can find. So even if you aren't using AI to book a holiday and you're just using it to search for something, you're not
Yep.
going to get as many options back. So AI,
Yeah.
is it starting to control everything we do? Do we know that? Do other people know that? How do we stop it? Don't know.
Yeah,
Each of those.
that's actually a great story to mention. I saw that one as well, and I think for anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, Google used to return 100 different search results that were targeted to whatever your query was, and obviously it has a long tail where it'll do more than that, but it would kind of rank the first 100, right? And because some of the AI tools like ChatGPT and some of the other ones were actually using Google search to then do its research, Google felt like that essentially Google was powering a lot of the knowledge of the other AI tools. And since Google has its own tool, it didn't want them to compete. So what it's done is it's now taken that from 100 back to 10.
Oh, wow.
Now, for most people, what that means is that now it's only the top 10 search results that you're really going to get that are going to be the best ones instead of the top 100. And that also means for many of the smaller sites that were outside of, the first page of Google, like if you're a small company and you're outside the first page of Google anyway, like the chances of your search results coming up now are next to zero. Whereas if you were in the top 100 before, then you would show up. And
Chance.
yeah, and that's massive for small businesses.
It's
That's going to make
brutal
it
for small business.
yeah.
Brutal.
I mean, that's going to make it really difficult for discovery for smaller businesses. So yeah, what do you think? You work in comms, Joe. What do
Well, I
you?
know. Well, I know, and sometimes you think it's so easy. You just go for the top hit. Or I don't go for the top hit because I don't go for the sponsored one. I go for the one. It's like choosing a bottle of wine. Don't go unless you're going for the house because you can trust it. Don't go for the second one down because you're just being ripped off.
Yeah.
Go 3 or 4 down, or just choose the one you like. But sometimes it is more fun to just scroll down to the next page. But then you got the rubbish stuff. But yeah, it's the impact on the smaller businesses. And then who's in control here? Is it Google? Is it AI? And the sort of, because I was thinking about it under the sort of vision of trying to organize a holiday and like what would you do and how do you do it. I can ask ChatGPT to schedule a 4-day itinerary in Rome, or I can do my own research, or I can put a shout out to all my friends and ask them what they recommend, or buy a guidebook. And I think people are relying on AI, but you don't know. I wouldn't trust it. I would still take that itinerary and I'd run it by other people, or people that have actually been to the place you're going, because let's face it, AI hasn't been anywhere. So you need the human input. But I think it's all just scary. And then part of me thinks let's just ignore it. But how do you, if there's only 10 options, then it's really limiting everything. It's and who's written those 10 options? How's Google decided? Everyone knows that if you're trying to do marketing and you're trying to put an advert somewhere, no one knows what the secret source is to get you in the top 10. And now top 10 isn't going to be good enough. You're going to be top 5.
Yeah.
It's interesting because the other question, and I don't know the answer to this because it's the first time I'm hearing of this today, but is whether or not as a search person searching, can you bypass the 10 and say, I want you to give me the top 100? No?
I don't think so, because then the AI would just do that.
I mean, I'm assuming at the end of the day, Google's doing it, so everybody has to pay to be in. But then that's going to be a big auction war. Oh, what a fucking nightmare!
They don't care.
It's not
But
good.
I don't think it's even that. I think the Google search algorithm will still continue to work the way it works now. It's just limiting the number of relevant results that you get. Now, whether Google will come out with, like maybe if you use Google Gemini and you search using Gemini, then I would think that Google Gemini would use all of the search results and would give you something better. So that would then set them apart because it's their data set that they've pulled together and it's their algorithm that they use and whatever. So that makes sense. I guess what I don't understand is does it still happen if you just go to google.com and you or do google.co.uk, whatever, and then you put in a search term, on their webpage, do you still get the limited 10 results or do you still get the 100? And is it only the API connections and stuff that they're using that they're limiting? And I don't. Do you remember what it said in the article, Joe?
No, I think we need to find it and link it to this.
Okay,
If
well, we'll
there are
put
any
it.
show notes, if the show's live,
Yeah, there'll be show notes afterwards, of course.
we could do it. Because also other search engines are available.
Yeah, of course. They're shit, but they're available.
Do we ever use them?
No,
No, just
I
Google
use
it.
Bing.
What is a Bing?
I use Bing every once in a while, and the thing about the real difference between them, and look, we know that, Google has its own thing, and it's got Google Ads and all the other stuff, and it's, it puts the kind of the sponsored posts up at the top a lot. But I tell you what, man, if you go on Bing and you search for something, all you get is ads.
Yeah.
Like there's
Oh.
no, there's no seemingly natural search results that come out of that. It is literally just all paid crap that you get.
Yeah.
And trying to sift through that. I mean, I've tried it so many times and I'm just like, oh, these results are terrible. And I just can't. It
Yeah.
really just does my nut. So
Yeah. So that was my news talking point. What was yours, Lena?
awesome. No, that's very good. I'm gonna go next
Oh, you
because
go.
then Lena can segue into her questions that
Okay.
she wants because she put the topic forward. So
Oh,
so
am
I'll-
I doing the questions? Fine. Cool. I can
yeah,
do
well
that.
well you'll do your news and then that you can segue straight into the questions if you want.
Awesome.
Um,
I love
I
how organised
think-
we are.
yeah, I think what's been really interesting for me, this isn't anything in particular, but it is something that I've started playing around with, which is using the agent in ChatGPT. I finally got access to it. I have the paid account, so I use just the low level paid account, like £20 a month, whatever. And it finally got turned on for me. So I went in and just set up a basic agent and said, hey, what I asked it to do is I wanted it to go out and interrogate the web, find interesting articles about studios because I've got, the studio now. And I wanted it to find like the top 5 articles that it thought were really well researched, that were referenced very well, that were, had a good solid writing style. And then to bring those back and to put them in a Google Sheet for me and to give me the URL of the article, give me a short summary of what the article was and why it's interesting. And then that way, what I could do is it's then surfacing that list for me and I can go look at those every day and see if that's something that I then want to take and comment on and share on social media. I don't want it to write the post for me. I just want it to surface the information so that I can then go and see what I want to do. And, I'd said, run at 5 a.m. every day so that when I wake up in the morning and I go to the office, I have the list of things and I can just look through it. Does it ever run? No. Does it?
Oh, that's interesting.
And then I'll go and ask it and I'll say, are you do I have to be logged in for you to run this, this query and do this task? And it's like, no. You don't have to be logged in. You don't have to do anything. It will just run in the background. And I'm like, but it didn't run today.
lies.
Yeah, and then it goes, oh, I'm really sorry about that. I'll run it now. And then it runs it now. And then the next day, and I'm like, okay, so is this going to run tomorrow? And it says, yes, it's going to run tomorrow. And then it doesn't run tomorrow. So
Have
that's
you
on
asked it
the.
why it's not running?
Um,
And what's its answer?
I haven't, but what's really interesting is that so that's the cheap level. So I have a friend that's in one of my networking groups, and he uses the £200 a month, like pro ChatGPT, and he literally runs his entire company off of it. So he does like boilers and gas work and stuff like that, and when he goes on an appointment, when he comes back, he uses the voice thing with ChatGPT almost exclusively. So he talks to it and she talks back to him. So he's given it a personality, he's given it a name, and then he talks to it just like a person and she talks back to him. And so he'll say, okay, I was just at Joe Blogg's house and I installed this and I checked this and I did that and here's what was wrong and I had to replace this and I had to do that and blah, blah, blah. So he does all his notes and everything as voice notes. That then takes all that voice note, it puts it into the spreadsheet and it puts it into their like logging software so that they've got access to that and all the other people have access to it. And then he can say, oh, where am I going next? What appointment is it? What do I need to have? and he just literally just talks to it like it's his assistant all the
And that's
time.
cheaper
So is
than
the
having a personal assistant, isn't it?
Yeah.
yeah. So is the difference between the proactivity literally how much is being spent? Do you think 200 versus 20?
I don't know. I think it seems like they have more functionality in that higher one, so he can give it a personality,
Yeah.
and he can tell it like you have choices about how you want it to be. So he has it. There's like a romantic kind of option, so it's a little bit more flirty. And so he has the flirty option. So she's always like,
Of course he
she's
does.
slightly flirty with him all the time.
It's kind of like when we had GPS and you could get it to do it like in a Caribbean accent or a New Zealand
Yeah.
accent or get it to be Samuel L.
Oh,
Jackson
yeah,
or
my
whatever.
Siri's Irish. The
Yeah.
female Irish. I don't want any
I've
man
turned
telling
my
me what to
Siri
do.
off because I kept snoring and it kept waking me up going, can you repeat that please? On two different, on my phone and my iPad. Yeah, so that Siri's gone.
Oh, I love it. That's awesome.
That's the
Um,
funniest thing I've heard.
yeah, yeah. I always thought it would be really funny if you could have your partner's voice on there, just because it'd just be even more annoying. Just be like, I don't need you giving me
Turn right,
directions
turn
all the
right,
time.
quick, turn right.
What the hell are you doing? Where are you going? You're not supposed to go that way. Yeah. With AI, it'd be even worse.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. So
I've
that
noticed-
was that was my little experiment. I suspect that this is going to be a running commentary through the next sort of few conversations as I try and get that to work.
Well, you need to
I
ask
think-
it why it's not
exactly.
doing what you've asked.
Yeah, Lena's right, 100%. Because we use Copilot
Yeah.
at work now, which runs
Yeah.
off ChatGPT anyway. And I asked it the other day, can you shrink this image to under 1 megabyte? It was like, yeah, here you go. And so I just tried to upload it again. I was like, oh, there's no way. So I checked the properties. No, you haven't. They'd made it. It made it 10 megabytes. So I went back. I was like, no, you haven't done it. And tried it again. I said, no, you've made it bigger. No. And I had to go back about 6 times. Then eventually, it finally did it. But it kept going, no, I've done it. So,
Oh,
"No, you
that would
haven't."
be driving me insane.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But
Yeah,
I still,
so
I'm not
it's-
letting it go. Do it.
It's,
Oh,
I think it's certainly it's a good idea, and when I ask it to run, it does actually do what I want it to do.
On
So
the
it can
spot.
access the spreadsheet on its own. So it goes to the spreadsheet, it logs in, I can see the user pop up, I can watch it actually populating the cells and all the information. And so, it does get the URLs correctly, and it does do a good summary of what's there. And it puts the date and the author's name and all the other stuff, if it's available. So the doing of the task isn't the problem, it's the auto scheduling of it. And maybe that's something on
You
my
need
side,
to pay
but
for that. You
so
need to-
I'm
Yeah.
wondering
scheduling.
if the reason it's doing that is because you know how we had the conversation the other day about it's saving across the board they're trying to these LLMs are trying to save
Yeah.
space, right? And it's possibly going, well, it's going to take up space. Unless it's a priority right now, I'm just kind of going to pretend he asked me to not, pretend he didn't ask me to do that until he actually asked me, because then it
Like
becomes
I pretended
priority.
I'd done my homework.
yeah.
Yeah. just-
Yeah. I don't know. So we'll see. But I could see where stuff like that, I'm now starting to play around with that side of it. And I can see, and Joe, this kind of gets to you talking about booking holidays, right? It's the same kind of thing. Like you could set it off and you could say, I want you to check every day at 8 a.m. for cheap flights to Barcelona. And when you see flights that are under 100 pounds, let me know. And if you could set that off and we're confident that it was running, then, randomly someday it might actually send you an SMS text message saying, hey, I found a flight on EasyJet that's 98 pounds.
I mean, there's already
If-
apps that
if
are
you
doing
wanna
that
book
though,
it.
live, isn't there?
But it's it's
True.
more of a personal assistant. So you can kind of tell
Yeah.
it what you want and you can just speak to it. You don't have to type it in. And I think that's the other thing is I want to play around with the voice because I haven't so far played around. I just dictate stuff and do you know what I mean? And then it kind of does a transcript for me, but I want to play around more with the voice and particularly with it talking back because I think that could be really interesting. Because I've said for ages on all, since I started this show, I've said I can't wait till the day that I actually have an assistant that can just sort shit out for me, right? Like, can you just get me a dinner reservation at for 7 o'clock on Friday night, and it just takes care of it and just goes, yeah, you've got it. Like, that would be amazing.
That's where we want to go. I like that as well that you said it was your friend he's like plumbing and heating engineer or whatever he's doing, because I think the classic thing is you just think, oh, it's just people in offices. It's just people that are sitting at a
Yeah.
laptop, they're using it. But you're right, being out and about and being able to just talk to it. Because I was thinking that the other day, I was cycling. I was like, oh, I really want to check the price of something. Should I go to this shop or this shop? I was like, if I could just speak to it, like the
You
film
can.
Her.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can. The other thing that, and it might be interesting actually to try and get him on one time just to talk through how he uses it. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
the other thing he can do is I think it's his company. And at the end of the day, what he can say is I think he calls it Imogen or Isabella or something. I think it's Imogen, something like that.
Amy?
And I'll just say Imogen, whatever the name actually is. But he'll be like, Imogen, can you give me a recap? How did today go? And then what she'll come back and say is she'll say, all the jobs got done. There seemed to be a little bit of communication issue between this particular person and this team, or this team and this team. So there was a bit of back and forth going on, but they got the problem resolved. Like, it literally goes to that level to be able
that's
to
good.
analyze what's going on. And so if there was a problem, and she might say to him, oh, Tom was working on this job at 327 Main Street, and he wasn't able to finish because he didn't have the part, and blah blah blah. Like, and it literally will just read it to him while he's in the truck on the way home, so he can just ask her, and she will just tell him what the
God,
summary
that's
was
so
of the day, because
that's
they
so
all
good.
use it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about my dad's retired now, but I'm thinking
Yeah,
about my mum and dad's business as landscaping, and they often had multiple jobs going on at the same time. And I can imagine that if Dad had been doing that, because he spent so much of his time figuring, like firefighting all of the time, it could possibly predict issues. It could have
yeah,
explained to him what was going on for the day so that he could prepare at the end of the day for the next day and sort of let
yeah,
people know. Oh, I mean, that would have
yeah,
been. And
yeah,
also, he'd be on the phone all the time trying to ring around everybody. It could have then like gone, right, here's all the thing that's happened. Here's what needs to be done. Can you can you message out the blokes and tell them that they need to do this before they start,
yeah.
kind of for the day? Oh, it'd be genius.
Don't know if you can hear that banging in the background, but if you can, I have no idea what it is.
No.
It's not my fault.
No, I hear it.
Cool. Okay. Well, that was me. Lena, what did you have?
So mine's quite an interesting one. And I have a Google alert for AI stuff, and today's one was really interesting. It's something we've talked about before, actually, and that is about, is AI going to go into an AI bubble? The answer is we're already in it, and I was looking at the different publications. Was Yahoo Finance was the first thing, but then there was The Guardian, a couple of articles in The Guardian, CNBC, and even talking about the impact that AI crashing in a similar way to the .com bubble, because they're comparing it. What they're doing is they're
Yeah.
comparing timelines and what have you, and doing comparisons of like, is it likely to happen again? The answer is probably. And I know that the Bank of England, for example, is warning of growing risks with the AI bubble bursting. And I think the challenge is the valuations that have been putting on these businesses. So, for example, OpenAI has a valuation at the moment of 500 billion US dollars. It currently, to date, hasn't made one iota of profit. It's in the shit. But what they were talking about was every experiment's being done, which is why all the money's being thrown at all the things. And the thing that'll mess everything up is they don't know what's going to work and what's not. However, what everybody, like even people like Jeff Bezos, got into it. But they're looking at things like Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft. Sorry, I'm reading my notes. Spending billions and billions and on experimentation. But what they are pretty certain of is there probably will be a burst. But what they are also aware of is, mainly because they're looking at what happened last time, it is investing in infrastructure. So there will be a long-term payoff no matter what happens with the financial side of things. The infrastructure is being built, like, they're spending money on, building, sorry, I'm trying to think of the words here. They're trying to, they're building out the servers and all the infrastructure, and they're spending money on that, not just experimenting, but they're also spending money with each other. So there's this deal that's been done this week between, and I can never remember how to say is it Nvidia? It's called, and to do with chips and things being bought, but they're basically swapping investment across each other. So OpenAI and them are investing in each other. So that's a circular figure, which I think is really interesting. But what I want to know, I guess, from you guys is what, like, we all lived through the .com boom, all three of us, right? We've seen what happens, and it'd be interesting to see what your views are on the amount of money that's being spent with virtually no income, like where the fuck's it all coming from, but also, you know, is it going to burst, and is it going to, because the Bank of England is worried.
Well, I should be worried. Of course, it's
Yeah.
going to burst. Obviously.
Yeah.
And
that's
it'll be a
my-
big
that's my
disaster.
topic of
Everyone will wonder
conversation
why we fell for it, and then, you know, it'll backpedal. But then, as you said, all the infrastructure's there. It's all there. It can be used for good, hopefully, after it's been used for bad, and it's exploded. But yeah, and people will pull back, or people will change their minds, or they'll stop using it. You know, it's like everyone thinks it's cool to begin with, and everyone's using it, and then you're like, oh, actually, like you found out, it's not that great. It's not actually doing what I needed it to do. Like I found out, it's not actually done what I've asked it to do. And you do have to just check it. You can't trust it. You can't rely on it, because it's not sentient. It's not a thing. And it's just all these guys with all these millions of billions of dollars that are doing all this stuff to try and invent something and create something. Yeah, it's crazy. So we've just, you know, we're kind of on the sidelines, but we're also in it. But that's when we have to try and direct it. And that's why you have to, David, go back to it and tell it if it's not doing what it's saying it's doing.
Yeah, I think the other thing is everybody's testing it, right? We're all trying to figure out what it's actually good at and what it's not good at. And you know, for me personally, I've really found that it's very good at doing things like outlines. So if I want to talk about something, I ask it to give me an outline of the things that I should think about, and it's very, very helpful with that. It's very helpful
Document
if,
structures.
yeah,
Excellent at a document structure.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
things that everyone knows how to do that should be structured, but it's that creativity side.
Yeah,
that
but you can, like a lot of times I
doing.
might write something and then I'll go, did I forget to mention anything? And then it'll go, oh, what have you thought about this? And I'm like, oh, actually, that's a really good point. And then I'll go back and put something in. So I think, but again, I don't have it do my articles for me. It's a different thing. So I use it as an editor more than I use it as a creator. So it's not creating anything for me from scratch, but it is helping me edit what I've already got.
Yeah.
And I very frequently, you know, I now realize that's what I use it for mostly, and some things like that. Now, specifically talking about the bubble, which that leads into the bubble. So I think there's also, you know, tens of thousands of companies that are all AI companies, but really what they've done is they've built a front end that's using an API connection to ChatGPT in the back. So they're actually all very dependent on ChatGPT. If ChatGPT shut off their APIs, I would say probably 3/4 of the AI companies that are out there would be out of business straight
Yep.
away, because they have no model of their own.
Yep.
And they're literally just piggybacking off the back. And that's where a lot of this little money is going. But again, people are testing it to see how it works and under special cases. And I think we are going to see we're going to see a lot of merging. We're going to see a lot of companies going away. We're going to, you know, as they roll into larger and larger companies. And, you know, I mean, OpenAI just had an event the other day that basically now that they're rolling out their own connections to apps internally, that's actually going to kill tons of the smaller companies that are doing that kind of thing anyway. And so they're going to end up eating all these smaller companies by releasing their own tool that does effectively what those companies are already doing. So we're going to have a correction in the market just from that. And then I also think we're definitely in a bubble. The question is, what's the next one? Because what happens is, as soon as one bubble bursts, that all that money goes somewhere else. So what's the next bubble? Now, there's two possibilities. I think one is sooner than the other one. So I think I'm going to guess the order. And again, I've said this on shows in the past, but I think quantum computing
Yeah. I knew
is
you were
the
going to say
next
that.
bubble. That is the next bubble. They've already got quantum computers now that are working and that can do regular tasks. And there's all sorts of crazy, security and all sorts of things, considerations around that. But they're already using the new quantum systems to make new encryption that the other quantum systems wouldn't be able to break, that are just insane compared to what we're able to do now. But I very much see I think in the next few years, you're going to see a massive movement of money from the AI companies into the quantum companies, because once you have the quantum computers, that reduces the cost of the AI by like 90%. It reduces the energy consumption. It reduces the reliance on the chips and everything else. It like literally completely changes the game for AI. And so Nvidia and all those companies, they better make their money now, because as soon as quantum comes out, none of those graphics cards are needed anymore.
Yeah.
And so they better make hay now. And you could potentially see a massive crash once quantum really rolls
Which
out.
probably is why there's a lot of spend and investment happening at the moment, because there's a window in which they're going to be able to make their money,
Exactly.
unless they're doing like what some of the fuel companies are doing and investing in solar powered this and
Yeah.
that. They're sort of diversifying because they can see the end coming.
No, they're
Kind of
just
like
making their
what,
money as fast
what
as they can.
Kodak didn't do with film, it should have invested in digital early. It didn't.
They
Yeah, no,
just made their first new actual film though, and released it, so you can buy Kodak actual film again.
oh yeah, I've still got some
Yeah.
in the fridge.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's like
From the
So
money's
90s.
film cameras are coming back in popularity now.
Everything's
Yay.
cyclical.
I
It'll all come
love it.
back.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all cyclical. So that's a great topic. It's absolutely true. We're definitely in a bubble. I think we're going to see a lot of market consolidation. We're going to
Yeah.
lose a lot of companies.
And we're further along than I think a lot of people realize as well. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I was talking about the bubble right at the beginning when I took over with the creatives with AI
Yeah.
podcasty bit, and it's something I've continued to talk about. It's like it's so obvious, this bubble, but having read the articles I've read, and we will put them in the show notes. I think we're financially way further along the track, and I think the impact that's going to hit us as a result when the burst does happen is going to knock some businesses sideways, and they're not expecting it. I'm not sure why they're not expecting it. It's like
Yeah.
it's so obvious it's happening. I've been talking
People
about it
already
since the
is.
outset.
Yeah.
That's why.
One, I think just to finish my last thought quickly, I think the next thing after quantum is the fusion power.
What is fusion power? Do explain.
That's instead of splitting the atoms, it's putting them back together. So this is the new
Oh.
tokamak technology and stuff that's coming
Yep.
out. Essentially, what it is they're making a sun that will generate energy, and so it
Oh,
generates
yeah,
like
there's no issue with that now, is there? Making a
Yeah,
fucking
exactly.
sun. Jesus.
I think they've got it up to. They've had some of those reactors running now for 17 or 18 minutes, which is compared to where they used to be, and where they are now. That's massive. That is an enormous step. And I have a whole crazy not conspiracy theory, but I have a whole crazy theory about where that technology came from, because humans had no way of working out how to even begin to do that. And I reckon that that's some sort of alien technology that they've captured from somewhere.
Well, that's
which is
not where I thought we were
from
going
ships.
today.
I know that I told you it's crazy, but
Love it.
we're
Please
getting
tell me
more
where
and
it's
more
going
stuff
on.
coming out that's saying they actually have captured alien ships, and
Oh.
they couldn't figure out how they were powered, and they needed so much power. And I reckon they had these tiny little reactors in them that created enough energy that enabled them to do what they want to do.
Is
Anyway,
this going to
that's
be
my
on
crazy
Crazy
theory.
Uncle Dave? Please
I was
tell me it's going to be on Crazy Uncle Dave's show. Yes.
I might get a proper scientist on to talk about it.
Oh,
But
if you
yeah,
say you've got
anyway,
an alien, that'll be even better.
anyway, that's the next. I think after quantum, I think we're still 20
Aliens.
years away from anything meaningful happening with that. So
Yeah.
I think we have a huge bubble around quantum to come. And then when we get to fusion power, that's basically unlimited power
Oh, that's amazing.
for nothing.
I mean, that's been in
for
science
pence.
fiction movies for
What are you going to
forever.
use it for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
And it's going to be nuts and the safety thing about it, sorry, not to over rotate on this, but from what I understand, the safety thing is that essentially it can never blow up, because it needs such a controlled environment to make the reaction happen, that if even the tiniest little leak or anything happened, it would instantly stop because it wouldn't be
Right.
able to maintain. We're talking 100 million Fahrenheit
Yeah.
degrees in this thing. And so it just creates a plasma
Where
in
is
this.
it?
They've got two or three of them. China has one, the US has one. I think there's one in Europe somewhere, so Europe has one. And it's like this race. So everybody's now racing to get the first one online because basically, as soon as you've got the first one online, you literally have almost unlimited power for next to no money compared to today. So you could literally
They'll
have
figure a
one.
way to make us all pay, though, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they will for sure. Anyway,
Right. So,
cool.
the topic of conversation today. I wanted to pick something that could potentially be slightly controversial, and I think it'll be of interest to most of you listening. So, the question or the topic of conversation is around: is AI the death of originality? So, that's the topic. So the first question, this is a question I absolutely love, and I did get ChatGPT to help me, although I turned it into wordings that I liked.
Okay.
Is AI creating dumber humans, or is it just exposing how original we already are? Question. Who wants to answer that one?
Go on, Joe.
Well, so it's not creating dumber humans, but I think it's allowing some humans to maybe not use their brain as much as they could be. And I think that's the danger with maybe if you're using it all the time. I think you have to know what you're doing, because I use it for work, and I might use it to help me sort of draft a news release or a social media post, but as you were saying earlier, David, it's more like asking someone, oh, do you think I should talk about this? What shall I include this? But if it starts to write everything and you just accept it, then yeah, it's making you dumber, because you're not going to be able to know how to interact with people. That I saw a little skit on Instagram, and it was like when AI ChatGPT takes over your life, just someone walking into a shop, hello, how are you? Can I help you? Oh no, someone's asked me how I am, and how do I respond? And I think if you just rely on it, you're never thinking for yourself. You're never using your brain. You're never actually sort of getting out of your comfort zone and thinking, oh, what am I going to do if I've got a blank piece of paper? How am I going to even start here? So I think it's making us dumber in that respect. But then on the flip side, it's doing all the grunt work sometimes, and it's doing all that bit that, oh God, I know I need to do this. I've done it a million times before. And that's the bonus, or the kind of where we are, because we are, of a certain age. We're not just starting out in business. We haven't just graduated from school, or, we're not using it to do all our work. We've had to write things from scratch. You've had to sit there with a blank page. You've had to think, well, where do I start? What do I do? But I think because we've got that experience, I'm quite comfortable using AI to help me get started sometimes. But you still need to be able to go back and do it. But it allows you to be more creative, because it saves some of your time. So you've got more thinking time. You've got more space to do something. So yeah, it can make you, but then it's your choice. You can be lazy and just use it, and then that's my worry, because if everyone's just being lazy and everyone's just accepting what it's churned out, it's never going to learn or get better, and we're all just going to accept what it's done. And I did something yesterday, and I made the classic mistake. I'd written something myself. I asked Copilot to kind of put it in a more sensible list and kind of do a kind of overview of it to send someone in an email. And I was like, right, yeah. And I showed it to someone. I was like, oh yeah, I'm just going to send this. And they're like, well, hang on, that's not right. That's not right. And I was like, oh yeah, I did the thing you're not supposed to do. Didn't reread it. I was like, well, it's done this bit correctly. So maybe it's not making us lazy in that respect. It's making you actually think a bit differently, because, we are the ones that should be telling it how to do things. And that's why it's so important to feedback. And so you've got to tell it if it's not, and when it gives me something and it's not right, it's never right. It's never 100% right. And they've got someone's name wrong. They've got the tone wrong. They've got the date or the.
Oh, I've had it made up.
And I go back and I say, thank you. This is what I've gone with. And so at least it's got that in there for if I do ask it something in the future.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Only learning from what
That's a good point. I do always put in whatever I did in the end.
Yes,
Particularly if
me
I'm
too.
working on like web copy or a press release or something. I usually do the first draft or whatever, then ask it for revisions. Then it gives me something, and then I take that and then I do it. And then when I get to the end of it, I always put what I used, and I say, this is what I went with in the end. Remember this version.
Yep.
And I specifically tell it to remember that version. So it goes, oh, okay, I'll forget the other stuff and remember this one. So yeah, I agree. I think that's a really good way to do it.
Do you think it's making us dumber?
It's making us lazy.
Or
I'm
same
not sure
thing,
it's
isn't
making
it?
us dumber. I think it is making us lazy though, and I don't know. This gets back to something again. I've talked about all the time, which is it's not better than an expert in any given task, right? So if
Mm.
you're really good at writing copy or web copy, it's not going to be better at you than that. It is going to be better at you than particle physics, right?
Yeah.
Like if
Yeah.
somebody asked you a question or you needed to know something or you wanted to make a comment about something, chances are it's going to give you something that's way better than anything that you could have ever come up with on that particular topic. And if it's a simple request, it's probably going to be correct, right? It's only when you have experts prodding it and testing it for stuff and they're asking it really difficult, specific questions that it comes up with stuff that's wrong, then that's fine. But if you ask it really general knowledge type stuff on a particular topic that you don't know about, 90% of the time it's going to be better than you. And
Yeah.
again, this is why people are doing it. But that's what makes it lazy because you don't have to go off and research it yourself. And, we all know that something like a business plan, for example, writing a business plan, the document that you get out of it at the end of it is not what you're trying to do. It's
No,
not the document that's worth anything. It's the hours that you have to put into it,
that's the thinking.
researching it,
Mm.
to and you learn all of that stuff as a side effect of going to do the research for the stuff that you need to put in the business plan. That's how you learn in a real environment, right?
Yeah.
Not in school, but in real life. That's how you learn stuff. And so the value of it is doing the research. And now people have got really lazy because you can just ask it for a business plan and it will do the business plan for you. It's not that you're dumber, it's just that you're lazy, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing for me that's the difference.
So I've got a slightly different view on it. Not unsurprising. I think it depends on what generation you are, as whether it's making you dumber or not.
Yeah.
No offense to my young Gen Zers and whatever the new one is it Alpha, whatever it's called. I do think it's making them dumber because, and not all of them, not across the board, but there's a reliance on it automatically assuming it's correct.
Yeah.
With experience, us as Gen Xers, we will read something and automatically instinct, experience, whatever you want to call it, mine will kick in and go, nah, there's something hinky about what it's saying. It's not quite. For example,
Yeah.
I asked it to help me write off the back of a quote that somebody had, a referral quote that somebody had given me in LinkedIn saying what they thought of the work that I'd done. And I asked it to help me create, and it was one of the days when my head stuff was playing up and I was struggling with being creative. I wasn't going to stop at me putting stuff out. So I asked it to help me write something, and which I don't always do. I usually write it myself, but sometimes I have to because my brain's not working. So I asked it to do something. I gave it the bio. I gave it the LinkedIn profile. I gave it the quote. It ended up making up that this person was an Emmy award winning. Now, she's amazing and she's really good. She is award winning, but not Emmy. When I pushed back on it and said, I don't think she's Emmy award. Did you make that? I literally said, did you make it up? And he went, oh, yeah, sorry, did. And nobody would have picked up on that if they were younger.
No.
I don't think. I think my experience helped me understand that there was something hinky in it. And I think that continues to be the case. I just know.
Yeah.
I think what's happening with the younger generation is, like I said, they're assuming it's correct when half the time it's not. And I know why it's not correct for a number of reasons. One of the facts is a lot of websites are now blocking AI being able to scrape stuff. So it's missing out on half of the information. I don't have the percentages, but it's definitely not. Like I can put a website in and go, like, for example, I was doing something for Orion Studios the other day, and I wanted it to scrape and pull together all the information off the website. It couldn't do it. I had to go and literally cut it all out and stick it into a document. It took bloody ages. Anyway, it made me realise more often than not, I think there are websites that aren't accessible, which tells me then there's a whole lot of research, knowledge, information that's not going into the search that anything like ChatGPT or Claude or anything is doing. And I think the second thing with the younger generation is that I did things like I was captain of the debating team. Now, that categorically teaches you about understanding an argument and critical thinking and being able to throw back an answer. Particularly, I loved when I was given a topic that I personally categorically did not believe. But what it does is it teaches you how to think critically and do things different. I think and this is where I think it's, for want of a better word, dumbing down,
Yeah.
because intelligence isn't just in there, although it's partly just what's in your capability, but it also has to be exercised.
Yeah.
Like anything, your brain needs to be exercised. So I think the challenge is to the younger generation is don't just accept, but also you need to do things that ensure that you challenge thinking, drive critical thinking, and just think, I guess.
Yeah,
Which I think is going to make
Yeah.
dumber humans if they don't realise that.
Well,
Some
you need
do.
some
Some
common
young people
sense.
do understand that. Some don't.
Yeah, but then they probably said that when the internet came along anyway. Oh, well, they're not going to
They
be
did.
searching through books and reading. They're just going to be doing that. So I think and
Well,
I've heard
They did.
examples of this where in schools,
but
people,
it's true. Look at
they-
the world we're in at the moment. Fuck me, there's a whole lot of dumb people.
but you get,
Well,
well,
that's
yeah, there always will be. But the students are, the tutors are saying, right, okay, use ChatGPT, ask it, tell it to do your homework, whatever it churns out, now you go back and fact check it. And that's when students are realizing, oh, it hasn't done it right, it has lied, it's hallucinated, it's got it wrong, it's made it up. And I think that then teaches them how to do the prompts better, but how to test it and how to check it. And I think that's where like the education part will come in, and that's what schools I think are already doing, or in the main, because we were talking about using it at work for translating, and it's saying, well, if you've translated something into French, what you can't just accept it. You either need to go and get a French person, or who might not have had time to do it, or you can put it back in and say, can you translate this back into English? Now I did think, yeah, but if it's done it that one way, it's just going to give you the other one, like it. So
But no.
I'd go and
No.
put it in a different translation thing, I don't know, or something, just to double check that. And then by the time you spent all the time doing that, you could have probably just found someone to.
You could have
but
just
no,
put it in Google Translate, because Google Translate's very good.
Yeah.
Oh,
and then just put a
no.
caveat. I think as long
I've
as you've done
seen
the
it mess
caveat.
up. No, I've seen it mess up global campaigns, and no.
But then that's you need to know the nuances of something in a different
Yeah.
language, and whether
Yeah.
one hand gesture here means something and over there it doesn't, and it's polite to do this, it's not polite to do that, and
Yeah.
it's those funny words. There was something the other day that a brand of something that, and I can't remember, this is pointless me saying it, but they had to change it because whatever it translated to in that other country, it's. Yeah, but isn't it like in French?
I've seen that happen so many times.
Je peux means like cat pee or something. I don't know.
Right. Don't know. No, I think they're all good points. I think it's a good point, Lena. I do agree with you. I think, again, because we're the last sort of analog generation, because everybody after us really always had tech from the beginning. I mean, we had tech from when we were teenagers.
Yeah.
So the very first kind of computers, my high school had the very first computer class in Memphis. But all of those foundation years, before we were sort of mid-teens was all analog.
Yep.
Right? We still had to go to the library. We had to check out books. We had to know the Dewey Decimal System and how to find what we were looking for. And we had to, all
Most
that.
young people don't even know what the Dewey Decimal
No,
System
they have no idea what it is. They have no idea what
Right.
it is.
What
But
is it?
which is fine though. But I mean, the fact that I have the sum of all of the world's knowledge
Yeah.
at hand is actually really handy in
Yes.
most instances, and it doesn't make me any lazy or less smart that I don't have to go to the frickin' library to look up something and to get an encyclopedia so I can find something. That kind of level of stuff is good. But I see what you mean with the critical thinking. And I was laughing when you were talking about debating, because it took every bit of self-control I had to just say I disagree.
No, that's good, but I think we should disagree. If you think I'm
No,
wrong.
but just to be,
But
just because
I
you were
don't-
talking about debating, and I
I
was like, I
know.
disagree. I just
Oh, I
wanted to
know
throw it out
exactly
there.
what I would have said though.
I'm sure you do.
Based
But-
on what?
Exactly.
But also, when it comes to creativity, we've just been, talking about in what we do, sort of work and comms and like writing things. But I think if it comes to art, and I've talked about this before, I mentioned it before on one of my other podcasts, but you know, if AI is just learning from what's gone before, you could show it every single piece of artwork up until a certain point, but it would never have come up with a Jackson Pollock if you'd shown it everything up to there. So you still need that bit of creativity and like, where are you taking it next? How are you going to think of something differently?
But
Well,
it will
You know,
come
you
up
can
with stuff.
study as much as you like everything that's come before.
But it will come up with its own version of that. And it's
Yeah,
my
afterwards,
position
but
is
not
that
before.
it's a whole different medium. And so it comes up with really crazy fucking weird stuff. Pardon my language. I know, it's like, I guess we'll find out what happens when you swear. But like the stuff that it comes out with is, you can look at it and go, wow, that's AI, and that is totally messed up. Go watch some of there's some AI videos that people did to music, and they basically choose songs from like Tool or from Pink Floyd, and what they do is they say, here's the lyric of the song, make a video that goes with this lyric and the music, and they do it lyric by lyric, so you get these little short little videos, and it's like AI hallucinations, and it is like the creepiest. I mean, I'm not even
Yeah.
kidding. And because this is on YouTube, actually, what I can do is I can link to one of the YouTube videos in the thing. So if people come and watch this live broadcast bit, there'll be a link down there, and I'll do it so you can click on it and see it. I mean, you know, I don't think a human, if they did, 5 grams of mushrooms, could probably come up with the stuff that came up with.
Oh, I disagree.
but
I
it's-
think there are plenty of nutty people out there that would. I mean,
Yeah.
people that have come up with the weirdest art, the weirdest ideas, the
I'll,
weirdest
I'll
everything.
show it to you and you'll see.
Okay.
Anyway,
I mean,
we've gone. I'm gonna call a stop. We're 50 minutes now. I think we were worried if we could go half an hour, which we
I
should have
knew we
known
would
better.
go over.
And we've run over the time that we had sort of set aside. So I know Jo has some other meetings that she needs to get to, and I've got to get some stuff done as well. So, guys, thanks very much. That was
Thank you.
interesting and fun. We'll see what people think about it later. And if we want to start doing them live, then what we can do is we can start scheduling them ahead of time, and we can tell people, hey, we're going to be live, and
Take
people can
questions.
chat with us. And so
Yeah,
people
why
will be
not?
able to chat with us in real time, and we can see it in the Riverside or whatever platform we're using. We'll actually be able to see the live chat, so people can ask us questions and interact with us. So
I
that
think
might
that'd be really fun.
that might be really fun as well. So I think for today, that's good. So if anybody ever does see this in the future and you haven't subscribed and hit the notification bell and all the other bollocks that you should do on YouTube, please do that. And we'll figure this out as we move forward. But yeah, anyway, nice to see everybody. I'm glad we
Yeah.
finally got the tech
Thanks for listening
working.
to our bollocks.
And was this good? I thought this was pretty good.
Oh, it was all right. Yeah,
It was good. I haven't done a podcast for about 6 months, so yes, it's great.
it was really enjoyable. I liked
But
it.
I think for me, the interaction between us, I think is better just from a conversation standpoint. And do you know what I mean? We'll get more
Yeah.
used to it, and we'll get more used to how we, so we don't talk. I don't think we did it actually too much crosstalk this time, which was really good.
No, and
But we'll
I
get
always
into a rhythm of it, and I think
Yeah.
it'll be better, and hopefully it'll be more interesting for people as
I
well.
felt
we'll
less
pick
nervous,
topics.
weirdly.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Thanks everyone.
Cool.
Take care,
We'll see you next
everyone.
time. Bye bye.
Take
See ya.
care. Stay curious.